Just kind of coast, babe.
This is Winging It, the somewhat whimsical, certainly worrying, decidedly wonky, seldom weighty, endlessly well-intentioned, and wildly witty show about music where one knows what's coming and the other doesn't. It happens in between both proper to ensure you can spend anywhere from 15 to about 90 minutes with us, let's say every week, every other week, as often as possible. So, what are we going to talk about this time? Well, this is kind of a sad topic, but it's something that happens, and as a singer, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So performing, namely singing, can be a grueling profession that places significant strain on a person's vocal cords. More specifically, can cause vocal cord nodules or polyps due to overuse. Other injuries can arise, including vocal cord hemorrhage, and for some performers, the only solution is surgery, and then maybe some downtime, and then some can never sing again. So this is from Ranker.com, and we're going to talk about some singers who can't sing anymore. So very, very sad. So I'm going to go through a couple of these. So it's interesting, though. I want to talk about how great these singers are potentially, or are we happy to not hear their voices out there anymore, right? So there are some cases where vocal cords or the vocals can be restored. Although less common, in certain cases, such as with Julie Andrews, this damage is irreparable, causing these iconic musicians to permanently lose their singing voices. So, let's talk about a few of them. Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith, bid touring farewell in 2024 due to permanent vocal cord injury sustained in 2023. So he performed in Aerosmith since 1970. So obviously his voice has taken a beating, right? And he has those like high octane performances where his voice is in the rafters. His raspy voice has set him apart for other singers for decades. Now, here's the thing. He didn't always have that raspy voice. That's obviously years. I like the rasp, but the rasp means something's happened, right? So in the end, a fractured larynx led to his decision to retire because his voice was not expected to make a full recovery. And you don't want to have, you know, a partially on Steven Tyler, because to perform those songs the way only he can, he needs the full vocals. And I will tell you, I am super sad about this one. I love his voice. I love Aerosmith. I always have. I am absolutely shattered that this happened. And I literally have never seen them perform live. They were doing a residency in Vegas, which I planned to go see, and then it's over. So I missed it, but I don't believe you did.
No, and I was sitting here thinking, while you were talking and I was listening intently, I also knew what first three words... She doesn't believe me.
My ass.
What first three words... No, it sounded wrong. I was starting to say, you know what I was sitting there thinking? When she's done, I'm going to say this. And it sounds...
That is not active listening at all.
Exactly. It sounds terrible. Of course I was listening. She was talking about... And I was completely there because the first... What I was going to say was first, this one hurts. This one really does. Aerosmith, good Lord. Steven Tyler... what a vocalist. I mean, what an absolutely incredible vocalist. I mean, yeah, he can scream. Yeah, he can do all this wild shit. But give him a melody, and man, he will sing it, and he will write it.
He's got soul. He's got all of it. It's so good.
And it's especially hard for me because it's the first band I ever saw live. Opening for Black Sabbath in 1975. Promoting Toys in the Attic, their last supporting tour before they became,
what the phenomenon.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
And they were so incredibly good. They opened with the first song on the first album, Make It, which is one of the greatest opening songs of all time. Good evening, people. Welcome to the show. Oh, my goodness. It was brilliant. They were on fire. And from that, I saw them 4 times in the 70s. But I finally saw Steven Tyler again one last time when I saw the Hollywood Vampires. He came on stage with, of course, his bandmate Joe Perry and Johnny Depp and Alice Cooper. And they did. Train Kept A-Rollin'. And it was fantastic. I mean, it was a real dream to see them again. And this one makes me very sad. Very sad.
So sad.
brilliant singer, and I think being a credit buff, you really get to see just how much of a genius Steven Tyler is when you know that he wrote, apart from the cover of Walking the Dog and Moving Out, which is a great song he co-wrote with Joe Perry. The rest of the album he wrote himself.
Absolutely.
And some of the most spectacular songs going forward he also wrote himself. I'm not taking nothing away from the phenomenal songwriting of Joe Perry.
Of course not.
And, I mean, give him a ballad like You See Me Crying, and you will...
He's incredible.
It hurts. And
I know he's so sad because this is what he does.
Well, they were on the farewell tour, Peace Out, tour. And
I've heard that before.
And people were like, no, but he knows he had to stop.
Yeah.
At least touring. I mean, touring and making a record are two entirely different things. Maybe we haven't heard the last of Steven Tyler. I don't know. But they were on their last tour, and a lot of people had never seen them. Like you, and it is sad because they're amazing live. Well, I saw them 4 times live. Once, everybody knows they were the Toxic Twins. They weren't called that for nothing. That they started to go to shit, and they were wasted on drugs.
Absolutely.
I happened to catch them that year, one of those years, and but the 3 other times they were just absolute dynamos. A great band, and it's this one hurts a lot.
It's the end of an era like we've never known. So it's really, really sad. And I mean, I'm grateful he was able to tour as long as he has been touring, and I'm grateful he was able to go out the way he wanted to go out, right? And said, I'm done. And he had one last go at it. But I know if he had his druthers, he would continue to be on the road.
It was great that they never really went away or anything, but they did have lineup changes and things like that and everything. But that they, in a somewhat less than electrifying commercial period, even though they were putting out good records, but they did come back and and became a phenomenon once again.
Oh yeah,
bigger than ever before for a whole new generation, and they're just one of the great American bands, obviously.
Absolutely. So moving on to somebody we alluded to a little earlier, Julie Andrews, which to me, as somebody who grew up listening to that voice and the Sound of Music and all that stuff, this really hit me hard. So she's rare among singers. Her impressive 4-octave vocal range on display in films like The Sound of Music and Mary Poppins, Victoria. Her impressive ability to hit notes with ease. Obviously, it's one of the most beautiful voices ever. It's just beautiful. But she had vocal cord surgery for a benign lesion in 1997, and she lost her singing voice. It's always a risk of having surgery, which is why it's so scary to do that. They were non-cancerous, which is great, but she was under the impression that her voice wasn't at risk. And within a matter of weeks, she'd be singing again. That's what she thought. However, it left her vocal cords with scars and the need for voice therapy, resulting in a lawsuit that settled privately. But again, it ruined her ability. I can't even say it. God damn it!
Did you have this surgery too?
I did.
Apparently, it ruined your ability to do a show.
It ruined her ability to sing and precluded her from practicing her profession as a musical performer. And furthermore, obviously, there was no real reason for the surgery. It was non-cancerous. So obviously, it is just devastating to all of us because I wanted to hear her do more. And I've never known a voice that beautiful. And it just seems so easy. And it was so pure and so beautiful. So that one hit me hard because she's Mary Poppins, I mean, she was the Sound of Music.
And thank heaven she still makes movies anyway.
Yeah.
But I think she's doing another Princess Diaries now.
Yeah.
She's still making movies. But what an incredible voice. And it's so sad. I mean, in doing what seemed like, this is another heartbreaker, in doing what seemed like the prudent thing to do is to have the surgery, even though they were benign.
Right.
And to take that and not knowing what a gamble it was and to end up on the losing end is terrible. It's heartbreaking.
It is absolutely terrible.
I hate to hear when people lose their ability to do the thing that they do, and there are several that come to mind that I expect to be on this list, whether it's singing or whether it's... I've been listening to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and it absolutely kills me. God.
It's so awful. It's so awful when you think about the fact that, couldn't use his fingers anymore.
We're sorry for making you so sad.
And And, I mean, again, if you're an artist, and I'm grateful these people are still around, but I mean, if you're an artist like that, then sometimes it ends up with you taking your own life because it's the thing you do.
Although, I mean,
it's just heartbreaking.
Knowing what you gave to the world, even if you had to stop doing it, knowing, I hope I'd be like, not that anyone's listening to me, but I mean, knowing what you gave to the world and everything really is, even if you stop, is satisfying.
But the problem is you have more in you.
I know.
And that's the part that I think, because prolific artists like that, right? I mean, think of Julie Andrews. She would have had no shortage of film after film after film after film. So it cut everything short and changed everything. So it's heartbreaking that we lost that voice so early. Of course, thank God both of these people we've talked about so far are still with us and they're healthy otherwise. But again, if you're Steven Tyler, it's what you do. If you're Julie Andrews, it's what you do. And you can't do what you do anymore. So yeah, it's really heartbreaking. So here's another one. Did you know Rod Stewart? He's known for his raspy vocals. His unique singing style is partly because of a broken nose he sustained at 19, but this isn't the only injury that's affected his singing voice. He spent 9 months without his voice after doctors removed a cancerous thyroid growth.
Oh, wow.
Since the surgery required them to cut his throat muscles, he was without his voice for the better part of a year, but he was determined to keep singing, which further exacerbated the injury and slowed the healing process. So they might appreciate his tenacity, his fans and everything, but his voice has sustained additional strain. So that means while he can still sing, he may not be able to do it as long as he wants to or as well as he wants to in the same way because of what the strain he's put.
Oh, I was going to say, because this is not like the previous stories. Rod Stewart is on tour right now.
Yeah.
But, he's, I think it's a farewell tour.
Yeah.
It is, but, God, please let him get through it. Unlike
Please,
Aerosmith,
yes.
please, since not the 70s, since the 60s.
60s.
I
think Faces, man. I'm like, Faces. Come on.
Jeff Beck Group. That's my least
Jeff
favorite.
Beck Group.
His solo
very good,
shit,
though.
the 70s solo shit is so good.
Even his 80s stint was
stuff.
fun.
Oh, and
come
the
on.
later, these amazing ballads like, Rhythm of My Heart. And,
adorable. I love it.
Love Touch. Oh, my goodness.
Forever Young. I can't even handle it. So, another one that you may or may not know. So, even if you don't like this artist, there's no doubting the absolute vocal powerhouse that Celine Dion is. She's just an incredible vocalist. And she's been dazzling audiences since she was 5 years old, performing at her parents' piano bar. And it's part of her, but in 2022, she was diagnosed with stiff person syndrome.
Wow. Wait, stiff person syndrome?
Stiff person syndrome.
Oh, this is going to be educational. I've never even heard of that.
Oh, gosh. She has a whole documentary. It's just heartbreaking. It's a rare autoimmune neurological disorder that affects just 1 out of 2 people. I'm sorry. Let me try that again.
1 out of 2.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Fuck you. It's a rare autoimmune neurological disorder that affects just 1 to 2 out of 1 million people.
Oh, that's rare. That is so rare.
God.
That's why I never heard of it. But then a celebrity has it. You figure you would have, but I'm
no, I had never heard of it before her, and it's not uncommon.
Stiff person syndrome. Okay, go on.
Stiff person syndrome. So it's not uncommon for those living with this to experience agoraphobia and anxiety, but she was determined not to allow it. Right. So she has debilitating muscle spasms and stiffness that impede her ability to sing and perform. Although less common, it can be fatal as well. But she sang at the 2024 Paris Olympics opening ceremony, and I will tell you, I totally cried because there was a time where we didn't know if we'd ever hear her voice again. But she did it, and she sounded just as powerful as her, maybe a little tentative because of what she'd just been through. But actually, if you watch her documentary, it shows her going through an episode of it, and it's absolutely devastating.
Good Lord, I think I saw a clip of that. It was terrible.
It is the worst thing ever.
I did, you're right.
It's heartbreaking. But at least right now, she is still able to sing.
Oh.
But she still has this issue that sometimes will render her unable to sing, which is why she hasn't been back on. She was doing a residency for a long time and had to step back because of this stiff person syndrome.
Yeah, sometimes an artist will, they will have the physically, they will be debilitated, but they can still sing, like, the great Phil Collins, for example.
Yeah, so there's some
I do
issues.
remember that, hearing about some of that with Celine Dion.
So
and
awful.
You know what? people, tell me anything, but don't tell me that woman can't sing.
She can sing. And again, you don't have to love her music. I love Mariah Carey's voice, but I don't love all her music. Same thing with the Celine Dion, but I do love their voice. They have beautiful voices. Another beautiful voice is Adele. And she's known for songs like Rolling in the Deep, as we know. She's also no stranger to vocal cord injuries, a common side effect of singing due to overuse and strain. Now, one of the things about Celine Dion is she does it measured and she does it knowing how to sing. I feel like Adele puts herself at the very top of her vocal range every time, and that puts undue strain on your voice, always singing outside of your range. I'm not saying you shouldn't push yourself, but singing at the top of your range like that, I don't know that she had the training to be able to do that safely and night after night after night. I think it just did it took its toll on her.
Those of us who are not singing, it's a surprise surprising to hear that you can like learn things and techniques to, I mean, not just sing better, but to preserve your voice. Like, for example, Janis Joplin, so I read, said that she just kind of took it for granted that her voice was going to go someday and just went on singing. And they said, no, do this, so you can carry on for years. Of course, she didn't live long enough, sadly, but there are ways. And the doctors, sometimes the stuff they can do can restore someone's voice if everything just goes right. Unlike the sad case before, but like Roger Daltrey sounds better now than he did for many years because he had a great surgery. So at least she's still doing it, even though physically she has problems.
Well, she had to rest. Her doctor said you have to stop. She was forced to cancel tons of shows, and she had to accept the fact that she needed to rest, right, because it was just too much. And she performed live on a French radio show, which led her vocal cords to hemorrhage, right? So she had to have microsurgery to remove a polyp, again, because it's an instrument, it's a muscle, and it's something, if you don't sing from the right place, then your throat hurts. But if you sing from the right place, your throat shouldn't hurt. But they're still muscles. You have to learn how to take care of them and condition them. It's like an athlete.
Warm them up and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it is what people think, it's so easy to sing. It's not easy to sing, and it's not easy to sing safely. You could absolutely do harm. When I do some recordings, I'll go balls out and I'll just sing. And sometimes I'll do it wrong because I want to hit a note, and I'll pay for it for days, and that's very dangerous.
And it would be quite manageable if we're talking about people getting together and making records every year or two.
Yeah.
But when you are performing and touring, that is really, I think, where a lot of course, you can do one vocal in a studio and hurt your voice for a while.
Of course.
Like twist and shout, kind of thing. But the touring and the repetition and the strain and having to do it live, I mean, that's taken out so many voices.
Well, it's interesting because Bono, who is one of my faves, I just love U2, but Bono has a very strict regimen of how he maintains his voice. He doesn't speak. He uses, a nebulizer. He does all this moist heat, all these things specifically because you have to preserve your voice.
I think I need all that just to do this show, but go ahead.
Well, and he's doing it for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, right? Wow. Singing, just full out. So it's a lot. So there are things you can do to help yourself, but there's nothing like rest and singing correctly. There's no substitute for those things. So Elton John is another one. In 1987, Elton John had vocal cord surgery for nodules following a tour that consisted of toy boat. Mm-hmm. In 1987, Elton John had vocal cord surgery for nodules following a tour that consisted of more than 200 shows over 15 months. After his surgery, he had a deeper singing voice, something he considers an improvement. However, it's different than what we are used to. So even though the surgery was completely successful, upcoming tour performances were canceled so he could have the surgery. It took 1 hour, and they didn't suspect he'd need another one, but ultimately he experienced a benign lesion that didn't sideline him for too long. But in 1988, he released...
We understand he released an album in 1988. What is it called? What was it called?
Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm doing all the work here, man.
I know.
God damn it.
I love it.
Do not laugh. Do not laugh. I just hear myself saying it the wrong way again and again every time I go to say it, and it's killing me. In 1988, he released Red Strikes Back. The surgery caused John to have a richer, deeper voice, one that he leaned into throughout his career. Now, I will say, these changes are still confusing to my ear because I'm used to him singing in that higher register. Mm-hmm. So I hear him sing that way, and I know that later in his career, he sounded different, but I long for how he sounded in the 70s. And then even if you hear him perform since then, he sings things differently. So while it didn't really take him out, it did sideline him for a long time, repeatedly, right? He had to have surgery. But again, at least we got him back, and he's still out there touring now. I think this is really it for him, though.
Yeah, I think so, too. And, now the rich, deep, he has an absolutely beautiful, rich, deep voice. And he was, we had that in the 70s. However, we had the other half, too.
Yeah.
And, of course, he had to modify his writing. He can't write, the stuff he wrote back then. And performing it well, he has, even low, his voice is phenomenal. Listen to his...
I don't want to go on with you like that. That's him more...
Yeah, the Gershwin thing, Someone to Watch Over Me, Our Love Is Here to Stay. He's beautiful when he sings low. It would be nice, though, like you said, to hear the old...
Hold me closer, time to dance, all that stuff. I just miss that. Yeah. I miss that, but... I'm grateful we still had it, and I love those older songs. Yeah. The latter songs rather. But I really long for that full range that he lost, and that's okay. He leaned into it,
and it would still be a thrill and a half, even to hear him do Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, or something old where he had to sing high. Even if he had to change it, still
he changes it now.
Yeah, he would, and it would rock your. Rocket Man, any of those songs.
I think he has his backup singers do the hard work for him,
and they meld it together, and it sounds nice enough.
It's fine.
But I would love to see him. I'd love to see him. Yeah.
Well, Lionel Richie was another one. Did you know that when Lionel Richie's career was at its peak, he feared his voice was in jeopardy. His throat was suffering from some unexplained affliction, wreaking havoc on his singing voice. And in the early 90s, he had 4 surgeries in an attempt to correct the puzzling issue with his throat. He opened up about the anxiety associated with these surgeries, concerned that his career was over. Yeah. And, obviously he'd been part of the music industry for so long. It was scary for him to think he was going to have to walk away. But here's the good news. It was only acid reflux.
Oh, wow.
So they were able to fix it. But think of it. He had 4 surgeries and worried that he was going to go the way of, Julie Andrews or, Steven Tyler. So, again, these are people who lost their voices either completely or for a time. So, interesting. Did you know that? Lionel Richie, beautiful voice.
Oh,
I can't even.
Oh, my goodness.
The first thing that comes to mind is easy. My brain just goes, that's why I'm easy. Just mellow, beautiful,
so smooth. But he can do like a great up-tempo rocker.
Oh, sure.
He's genius.
Dancing on the Ceiling. Did you know that Bjork also had issues? Bjork, I am I can't even tell you what a huge Bjork fan I am. But her voice is well known and respected in the music community. She's garnered plenty of Grammy nominations. But she's another singer who temporarily lost her voice, requiring surgery for polyps. It's a very common thing. She initially tried natural remedies, but when they proved fruitless, surgery was the only option. But her vocal issues were handled with surgery. She was able to stay quiet for 3 weeks while her voice recuperated. And it was a success. But fans would never know she even underwent it to remove the nodules because it was only 3 weeks. But imagine, again, this is what you do. Losing it for any period of time has got to be completely disconcerting. And the way that she sings, it's very, very much like it is on the album. She goes all out. There's no bringing it down. There's no kind of in the middle. She is all there, and it's just amazing. So I'm not surprised to hear that she strained because she toured relentlessly, too. So. Yeah,
and her stuff is not easy to sing by any means. And, a lot of singers, and we don't usually mind we don't really mind if a singer has a different adaptation of a song for the stage. Robert Plant is a great example of this. But Bjork apparently would just sing everything all out every time, like the studio.
Yep.
And that will take its toll, I'm not that familiar with her work. I know she can sing, though.
Oh, I'm going to send you some stuff because she is absolutely brilliant. And And her voice, it breaks and heartbreaking and beautiful. And her songs are so strange and gripping and moving. And yeah. So Lindsey Buckingham, you may not have known this, but he did have to have some surgery. Now, it's not always stemming from singing that these people have to have surgery. But in his case, he had to have a life-saving surgery. But in doing so, it was open heart surgery, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he had to be intubated, right, which is a necessary requirement, and it damaged his vocal cords, right, which it would do.
Yeah.
He feared it was going to be permanent. However, a year and a half after his surgery, he was singing in public again. So it wasn't permanently damaged, but he was temporarily unable to sing. A year and a half is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Right. But it was absolutely necessary to save his life. So imagine Lindsey Buckingham, prolific, right? That's just what he does. And he was not able to sing.
Wow.
So at least he came back. So, the first two, I will say, that's going to kind of complete our list. There are other people who had trouble, but that's going to complete our list for today. But the first two are probably the saddest because they can't sing anymore. Another case that we hadn't talked about is Linda Ronstadt.
I was going to say, I was not sitting there thinking when she's done, I'm going to say this.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Well, we always do that. Even if we're active listening, we always do it. I was going to say that's the first one that came to my mind, too, is Linda Ronstadt. But go ahead.
So sad.
Yeah.
Well, hers is due to MS, right?
Oh,
Which
that's right.
Obviously,
Yeah.
it has all that muscle paralysis. And sadly,
muscle control singing,
Yeah.
it is, part and parcel.
So it's been a long time, and I can't imagine having, again, that powerhouse, beautiful voice and not being able to sing anymore. And I'm sure it was a horrible adjustment for her. But again, we have a whole body of work.
One of the greatest pop rock singers ever lived.
For sure.
Ronstadt.
Beautiful
my
voice.
And she could really
And she sang in
belt.
Spanish, and she did
could
all that.
howl. The Mad Love album, she could sing rock like amazing. And that was the first one that came to mind, and it's so sad. But, maybe she's at peace with it and everything and satisfied with her body of work, but it's too bad. It really is. She's wonderful.
It really is. So that's just a few singers who've had some trouble. Obviously, some were able to overcome these horrible obstacles. Some were not. And I know there will be more, but I hope that all of them can recover instead of have this devastating end to their career.
Yeah, I think Lou Gramm of Foreigner is another one too. Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah. I think there are many more that we haven't even thought of. But Meghan Trainor, I know she's had trouble. Michael Bublé has had trouble. There's so many people. But may they rest or get surgery or whatever they need to do and continue to be able to sing, because I cannot imagine not being able to sing.
And even if they could not withstand the strain of a tour, just to be able to get together and jam with friends,
or at least
they need
record
to do
anything,
or do like a gig, gig and film it or anything,
Absolutely. And I think the hardest part about touring, and I'm not a touring artist, but I was imagining, is just not being able to connect with the fans that way, which is just one of the biggest things, is to have your people moved by your music. And so sharing those moments and having them sing your songs to you is just a dream for me. So I can't even imagine how much you would miss that.
And another just came to mind, actually, a fellow who was out of the game for a while, and the band had to soldier on without him, with a substitute you might have heard of named Axl Rose. Brian Johnson, and it wasn't really about his voice, it was about his hearing. His hearing was, I don't know the details of it, medically speaking, but he was out for a while. But he's back, and they're touring right now and everything. But another one that almost got knocked out of the game, beloved singer, whether you like him or not, they're legendary.
I've heard his voice. I mean, he's not doing any favors.
Actually, I heard a show just from a couple days ago, and they sounded great. Maybe they had a bum one or two, but they actually did sound surprisingly good. So good on them. I know they're a beloved band. I don't get the whole they're my favorite group of all time thing. That blows my mind, honestly. But they do rock, and they got great songs, and anyway, good for them. I wish it turned out like that for everybody. Linda Ronstadt first that came to mind. All those stories, but
heartbreaking.
All right, so we're sorry. Ring out your hanky, and we'll bring you something lighter next time. Then, and blame Christina for that. No, it was a great topic. Thank you.
It's just from one singer to another. I mean, sometimes you're taken out of the game because of mental issues or physical issues or emotional issues, right? But you always have the option of coming back. Some of those people don't, and that's just heartbreaking. But thank you for everything that you've given us, and you are beloved, whether you can sing anymore or not.
Yeah, and there are people who honestly really lost their voice but continue to sing, and people continue to go see them. I mean, I don't want to say, I haven't heard too much, but Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull, I think his voice, they said it went, and I haven't heard the later stuff, but he had a great voice at one point.
Oh, he really did.
And there are people out there still doing it, even though they don't have the voices, and if someone wants to go see them, okay, great.
Do it.
Good for them. God bless them. Better, I'm glad they're not home sad. So
that's right. I'm glad for that, too. All right, well, that just leads us
like we all are after hearing that. Sorry, I'm busting Christina's chops here.
Seriously, holy fuck.
It's for the show.
I always hear that. So, I guess that just leaves for you to say,
let's fly this coop.
This has been Winging It, a presentation of Birds of a Feather on What the Flock Radio.